Portishead. What do we think of when we think of Portishead? Chips, ice cream? Yeah. But also, if you just come down on the beach and spend some time poking around and thinking, there's this enormous story revealed to us here through the rocks. And how the rocks show us a segment of geological time, past history of this planet, which today is just a snapshot of. I've just walked down the south end of Portishead seafront. You can hear the sea in the background. The tide's dropping at the moment. And now, if we just pause somewhere like this, we can move from a very ordinary day into something quite wild and quite special. Just getting engaged with what's here. Let's have a look what we can see. Some different layering going on here. You can see some quite crumbly, probably muddy sandstones at the bottom there, going up to these hard, blockier sandstones with the lines of deposition in them that are running in these sort of angles. And then we move up again, suddenly there's an abrupt line, and then above it is all this much larger grained material, which would be a storm event. So below it the conditions were gentler and calmer, and suddenly we've got this massive event here of high energy. So thinking about rocks and how they tell stories, how they formed, how they get eroded away again. Now that story runs from the present day right back through the history of life, back to the beginning of the planet itself, from our ancestors back to early mammals, back to the earliest creatures with even a rudimentary backbone, back to multi-celled animals, back earlier to creatures, organisms, life composed of just one cell. It's very easy to walk along somewhere like this with our daily head on, you know, thinking we're out for a nice little walk, which we are, but how about stopping somewhere like this and just contemplating billions of years, contemplating that transition from a single cell to things like us and horses and starfish and birds. The mystery of the missing millions of years. In this location we've got loads of these sandstones which were piled up, but then they were eroded away, and this is the top of them, the erosion, and on top of these there's new rocks were laid down, but there's a gap of millions of years between these rocks and these rocks. So you can come here and you can poke your hand into a gap of millions of years. That's pretty cool, isn't it? Wonderfully lichen covered rocks. Beautiful patterning. I don't know if you heard it, but that was a shell duck in the background. I love it. You look at rocks and then suddenly you realise that actually you're not really looking at rocks. What I mean is, we're looking at stuff that's growing, living on rock. Look at this here. Look at all the patterning going on. You've got whites, greys, yellows, darker greys, almost black. All these are lichens. I don't know if you could see here, tiny little black dots. All this, and you just lichens are everywhere, all over these rocks. I mean, the whole thing is just plastered. Look at this at the top here. I forget the name of this one now, but let's see how close we can get to it. That's beautiful. So a lot of the rock at Portishead is sandstones, and these are deposited in river systems. So loads of material eroded down from old mountains elsewhere have been washed into river systems where they accumulate in layers. You can see some of that layering here, and it builds up and up and up, and the weight of it compresses it down in these river systems, in these basins, and it eventually becomes rock through processes of crystallization and pressure, which I don't fully understand. And then here on the coast they're exposed again and start getting eroded again, so the cycle goes round and round.